Hey there, the Japan Code here, and this is my weekly immersion update for the week of May the 3rd to May the 9th. Fun fact, May 9th is actually my birthday, so I just turned 26 yesterday. And today is Mother's Day also, so if any of you watching are actually mothers, then happy Mother's Day to you. And I hope you're having a good time, despite, everything. I know I didn't do anything for my birthday either, so yeah. Okay, so last week there was two things that I wanted to talk about that I just didn't think about it until afterwards. The first one is Anki. Someone pointed out in the comments that I probably should have talked about Anki, and they're absolutely right. So I'm going to be talking also about how many new cards I've done. Yeah, and then the other thing is I didn't talk about what my current situation is. Like, by current situation, I mean, like, for that specific week, right? So, like for example, this week, I'm going to give... One of the things I want to talk about is that, I'm moving next week. So obviously this week I've been packing a lot. So that kind of affected how much I was able to do. And that's kind of what I mean, right? By talking about what my living situation or life situation is during that week, it kind of gives a little bit of context behind the numbers. And because, like, if I say I've watched 30 anime episodes, for example, well, is that a lot or is that not a lot? Who knows? If I say that I've been super busy for X and Y reason, then I guess that's actually a lot, because that's like over 10 hours. But if I say, yeah, I don't work, I don't have school, I don't do anything, I just stayed home all the week, I should say, then, that's kind of not a lot. So that's why I think it's actually pretty important for me to talk about what my current situation is. So I guess I'm going to start. For this week, my current situation, like I said, I'm moving next week. I'm moving on Friday. So next video is actually not going to be here. It's going to be at my mom's place. But yeah, moving back to my mom's, and because of that, I've been packing a lot. You can't see, but like right off the camera is a pile of boxes. There's a lot of boxes, and I'm not done yet. I have a lot of things, and I'm also like trying to sort it. So if there's something I don't care to keep, I'll just get rid of it one way or another. I already put a couple of things on the side of the street, and like woke up the next day and it was gone. So people are looking for that stuff for sure. So yeah, I've been packing. Then of course I'm working full time. I know, like, I never mention this anytime I talk, because like, I don't know, I just assume everyone knows that I'm working, but I guess that's not the case, because some people thought I was, just quarantined at home and stuff. But no, I'm actually still working full time, working my whole 40 hours, and I work in a warehouse, so I can't actually work from home, so I still have to go to work and come back from it, which isn't the end of the world, because I do take the bus, so I can immerse in the bus. It's just like walking to the bus and from the bus, and like actually waiting for the bus, that I can't immerse, or not, at least not actively, because I wouldn't want to like miss my bus because I'm too focused on what I'm doing, which has happened before. Like Japanese, I was just so focused on whatever I was doing on my phone. I was playing a game, I think, and the bus just it passed, it stopped, and it's like, okay, I guess he's not coming on, and then he went, and then I was like, shit. So yeah, the other thing is that I've mentioned in past videos that I have sleep issues, and this week was definitely a bad week in terms of sleep. Like, there's only two nights that I got like a full night's sleep. It wasn't necessarily the best kind of sleep, but it was like a full night's sleep, right? So I felt at least okay the following days. So that means the other 5 nights I didn't sleep well. So that's a lot. It was like 3 of them. The thing with when I have like a bad night, when my alarm rings in the morning, I have 2 choices. Either I try and get some more sleep, because I do wake up at 4 in the morning, but only leave for work at 6:50 right now. So I do have like time to try and get more sleep if I need it. Or sometimes I'll just like, I know I can't sleep because I've been trying to sleep for hours without being able to sleep. So I'll just get up and, actually do something, even if it's not something productive. because, well, especially if it's not something productive, actually, because if you know anything about like how it feels to lack sleep, you really have like no motivation and no willpower to do anything. So, you know, in both cases, I'm basically losing the whole morning. But yeah, like 3 of those days actually did go back to sleep and got like an extra 2 hours of sleep. So that did mean I couldn't do immersion in the morning. Like I did my Anki and then had to eat quickly, get ready for work, and leave. And then the other 2 days, well, I knew I couldn't sleep, so I did get up, but then I couldn't focus on anything, so I just didn't do anything productive. So those 5 days were kind of, you know, and where I'm going with this is that this was probably one of my lowest weeks of like based on how much immersion I did. Um, Obviously, besides the weeks where I didn't do anything, but as far as weeks that I was actually like still doing Japanese, it's probably one of my lowest one. From a quick like calculation, I did about 20 hours of immersion, which isn't that bad. Like if you add the Anki time to that, it adds up to about an average of 3 hours a day. So that's actually not bad considering. That's actually I was surprised. I thought I wasn't even gonna get like 2 hours a day average because of those 5 days, but I guess I did more than I thought. So the first I'm gonna start with Anki. I did 16 new cards, which was indeed on 2 days, a day of 10 cards and a day of 6 cards. So that's probably not surprising to you, but it was the 2 mornings that followed the 2 nights where I did sleep well. Surprise, surprise. And something that you'll actually see later is that, I've talked about doing a night routine to help me get to sleep. But funnily enough, I've only done it 2 nights this week, the night routine. And yes, it was exactly the nights before the nights that I slept well. So I don't know why I can't get myself to do it. I just need to build the habit, just stop trying to do it perfectly, fully every night, and just build the habit first, and then I can focus on actually doing it properly. That would help me a lot. But yeah, I only did 16 new cards, but that's not great, but at least it's not zero, right? So yeah, I think maybe I'll try to think of it when I'm editing, but I think I'll just put like a sentence of the week kind of thing. I haven't picked one because I just thought of that like right now while recording, but I'll try to put one on the screen. Maybe pick like my favorite card from the new cards that I've made that week. I think that could be interesting. Obviously, they're going to be in the monolingual, so if you haven't done the monolingual transition, you might not actually understand it. But still, just try to read it and see if you can understand it. And if you have done the monolingual, the monolingual transition, see if you understand it. Obviously we all learn different words, so there might be words in there that you haven't learned, or maybe you've learned all of them a long time ago and you're wondering why I made a card for this word right now. But yeah, so I think I've talked enough to leave the sentence card on the screen. So I'm gonna move on to anime. Anime is, of course, less than the previous week, but it was still a pretty good amount. In total, I've watched 27 episodes. Like I said, I'm not gonna go over the seasonal anime in details. I'm just gonna mention them, and that's it. So for the seasonal anime, there was 2 episodes of Kaguya-sama, and then also 2 episodes of Hamefura. I'm also like in that example, instead of reading the whole title that's like super long, I'm just gonna use what people call it, and there'll still be the picture on screen. And I'll try to put the actual title written on the screen. I think it was Jordan who asked me to do that, so you can actually see what the titles are, because you might not understand what I said, and I might not say it properly anyway. So that might make it more helpful. Then I also watched an episode of Gurei Puniru, an episode of Arute, and an episode of Honzuki, one episode of Yesterday o Utatte, also an episode of Bessatsu Olympia Kyukurosu, which is a 5-minute episode series, so not a full 20 something minutes. I also watched an episode of Kaminoto and an episode of Princess Connecto, and last but not least, an episode of Kakushigoto. Again, if you watch seasonal anime, you should probably check some of these out. So now for the non-seasonal anime, I've watched the final 2 episodes of Koisuru Asteroido. Again, that was like a relaxing slice of life show about some schoolgirls in the astronomy or astrology club. I don't know which one is which. I think it's astronomy, like when you look at the night sky and stuff. I'm almost certain it's astronomy, but I could be wrong. But yeah, so I finished it, and that was a pretty good show. It's not the best show ever, but it served its purpose. I was watching it to relax, and it did help me relax, and it was enjoyable. So that's I can't ask for more. Then I also watched 12 episodes of Hajime no Ippo. I'm actually getting like kind of close to finishing the first season. First season is 75 episodes, and I think I'm on episode 54. So I'm not gonna finish it this week, but I should finish it the next week. And then, last but not least, I watched 1 episode of Hakume to Mikochi, which in English I think it's called A Tiny Little Life in the Woods. At least that's what it showed on the title screen. I don't know if that's the actual English title, but yeah. So that's. I don't know much about what this show is so far. I have just watched the first episode, and that's it. But it's what I'm using to replace Koisuru for my relaxing anime at night. And it's those tiny little life living in the woods, as the English title says. So yeah, they're kind of like fairies. They're not fairies, but like, just think of a fairy for like the size, and they live in the woods, and like they're smaller than an insect, so that should give you an idea. And it's a pretty, it seems to be wholesome so far, wholesome slice of life series. I think it might be a Iyashike healing anime, I think, but I guess I'll find out soon. And yeah, as I mentioned earlier, I only did my night routine twice. So the first time that I did it, I watched the 2 episodes of Koisuru, and then the last time that I did it, which was actually last night, was when I watched the episode of Hakume to Mikochi. So yeah. For manga, I think I've actually watched the same amount I think I've actually read the same amount of volumes. I've read 4 volumes this week, which is, I'm pretty sure, is what it was last week. So first up is Shingeki no Kyojin Gaiden Kuinaki Sentaku, which is, I just remembered what the English name is. It's The Birth of Levi. I'm pretty sure that's what it is. It's the backstory of Levi, and I read a volume and a half of that. So last week I had read the first half of the first volume, and now I finished the first volume and then also the second volume, which is all that there is to it. So I finished basically Levi's backstory. Next I read half a volume of Barakamon, which was 4 chapters. Again, that's part of my night routine. I've only done it twice, so it's 2 chapters each day. If I did it every day, that would be like 14 chapters a week, so that would be like a volume and a half every week. That would be like great progress on top of being very helpful to help me sleep, so I really gotta get into this. And then the last manga that I read is the one that I've read the most of this week, is Re:Zero kara hajimeru isekai seikatsu daisho oto no ichinichi hen. That's actually like the first arc of Re:Zero, because like the manga is separated in parts, and each part is an arc from the light novel, well, web novel too technically, but light novel specifically. And the first arc is 2 volumes, and I read all the 2 volumes of it. So I basically read the whole first arc, and next is going to be the second arc. And I think I mentioned that last week, because I had read the first volume of the 4th arc, but it actually like feels really good. Like the Re:Zero story works very well as a manga. It shouldn't be surprising, but like sometimes the series that aren't originally a manga, when they get adapted into a manga, I think they're kind of like you can tell they weren't written for manga, in my opinion at least. But this one actually like works very well. I think if someone were to try to get into the series from the manga, it would, serve its purpose very well. Even though that's probably not what I would recommend getting into. Like I'd say, the anime is obviously the best choice for someone new to get into it. But then if you're into light novels, then obviously that's the better choice because it's the most accurate and the original and all of that. So because of that, I wouldn't there's not many situations I would recommend the manga as the first one. But if you don't really watch anime much and you don't read light novels, but you love manga, then don't feel like you can't try ReZero because the manga is actually very good, at least so far. I don't really see it being any different though later on. But yeah, and this week I actually had a little bit extra variety. Like last week, I think it was only anime and manga. Oh no, I did have some YouTube, so that was 3. But now I have anime, manga, and then I have a little bit of variety shows and a little bit of video games, and also a little bit of YouTube. So that's 5 different medium instead of 3. But the other 3 have barely nothing in them. But I still thought I'd mention it. So again, I watched about half an hour of Fisher's YouTube videos. That's basically just like following 3 of their new videos of the week. That was basically it. That's pretty much the only thing I've done on YouTube. Like I've watched a couple other stuff, but it was more like passively while packing. Like I've watched some more, or I should say listened some more to some of Daidara Games Let's Play. And I've also watched, what's his name? Hiroyuki, I think. Like I don't really know anything about this guy. I just know that Matt talked about him once. I think in his YouTube video actually, or video about YouTube I should say, and it's like long streams of the guy answering questions. So I just listened to that while packing. And next up we have variety shows. I haven't watched much. I only watched 1 episode. It was an episode that's an hour and a half, so it's not like an anime episode. It's basically like watching a 4 or 5 anime episode. But it was an episode of Downtown DX. I'm not really gonna talk about what it is because I do eventually want to make videos specifically about variety shows. But Downtown DX is actually not a show that I usually watch. Like I had tried it, but I dropped it because basically it's just you've got the hosts Downtown, which is I don't know a hell of a lot of variety duos like Genin Kombi. But Downtown is the one that got me into a variety show, so because of that, they're kind of like my favorite. So that's why I had tried it. But it's basically you've got the 2 hosts and then a lot of other comedians, as a panel, I guess. And to me, for variety shows, I've noticed that the more Genin that there is, the least I like the show as a whole. So I think the smaller ones are more interesting than the big ones like this, where you get to see each person for at most 2 or 3 minutes, and they're all just fighting, trying to get a word in. To try to get more screen time, right? So because of that, I don't really like this show as in general. It's fine, but it's kind of hit or miss. The main reason I actually watched it is because Fisher's was in there, or 3 of the 7 members were in there. So that when I heard that, they shared on Twitter saying that they were going to be on it, and that was a month ago, but I only got around to watching it now. I was I'm going to watch it, and it was actually pretty good. There was one segment where they were kind of looking at the houses of, or apartments or whatever, that some of the Genin had, including one of the members from Fisher's, and it was kind of a professional room house remodeler or something. I don't really know who she was, but she was kind of rating the houses and saying mistakes that they're doing and stuff that looks good and doesn't look good and whatever, and giving it a rating. And I always find those interesting because even though I really couldn't give 2 shits what that lady has to say about their houses, but I like seeing what sort of houses they live in. And you see there was actually Dave Spector in this episode, and holy crap, he has a massive apartment. and it has a crazy view, and I wouldn't like living in it because it looks too like what's the term, like posh for me, I think. But you see the difference between that, and then you had another Ghainian that lives in a 1 LDK with 2 other people. so, so you kind of see like there's a huge gap in between them in terms of where they live, and obviously also in terms of how much money they make. But that's not the point here. And then the other segment is one that I still don't understand what the point of it is where they get like their I don't know, like their best outfit, their shifuku, and they rank them by how expensive they are. So, and like the most expensive was actually the one from the guy from Fisher's, and what was it? I think it was like what was it? Sunsen Man, something like that. It was like 3 million, no, not 3 million, 30 million yen. Fucking 30 million yen. What the hell? I don't understand how people can spend that much money on an outfit, but yeah. So that's why I watched it. So I wanted to see Fisher's appearance on television. And last but not least, well, actually, technically, it is the least. That's the one I've done the least of. About video games. I posted about it on Twitter, and I literally haven't like done it since then, just because I've been like too busy doing other stuff. But I played Fire Emblem Monsho no Nazo, the Fire Emblem Mystery of the Emblem, for like 1 hour. But what I've been doing is kind of what's his name, Mali, I think. I think. Sorry if I mispronounced your name, Mali. But basically, like I have. In my case, it's an emulator because I do own the game physically, but obviously it's backed. So I decided, you know what, why don't I just emulate it? That way I can still play it. So I emulated it. I have the emulator like in the corner of the screen. Then below it, I have the MIA dictionary. Then on the side, I have a written walkthrough, I guess, or guide of it. And then in another tab, I also have a script of the game. So if there's a word that I want to look up, then I can just go in the script and copy paste it instead of having to write it. Now, if it's a kanji that I can, easily write some reading of it to get it, I'll just write it. But if it's a kanji that I don't know any reading of it, or I just like can't remember, then I can just go in the script, copy paste it, or even just like Control C space, and it'll automatically look it up in the MIA dictionary. So that's very convenient. And then I use the guide also to get when I need help to try and get through the chapters without losing characters and knowing getting some tactics. Then I just look at the guide in Japanese, and I'm just constantly getting Japanese through that, despite the gameplay aspect of Fire Emblem not really having any Japanese, but at least I have the guide, right? So I thought that was a great idea, and I decided to implement it. But yeah, that's actually all for this week. And next week, again, like I said, I'm moving on Friday, so I'm probably not going to have much, just like this week. If anything, it might even be less than this week. But yeah, that's it for this video. I've gone on for long enough. So again, if you have any ideas of how I should change this series, something I should add, something I should remove, or just do differently, let me know. And that'll be it for this week. So hopefully I will see you next week. Bye.